Morning or good afternoon, however you're doing it. This week we are now on week 8. You can believe it. All late work it needs to be done and turned in by the 20th. So next week, make sure everything is done by that. You will have a little bit of wiggle room to make sure you turn in stuff, but you will need to get them in and contact me if you have any questions. Okay, our last topic we are going to be doing is the quadratic formula. So this is what we've been leading up to. The quadratic formula basically tells us where the equation crosses the x-axis. So we're actually looking for the x-intercepts, which we've been doing this whole quarter. We've done it through factoring. Factoring tells us where it crosses the x-axis, and those are going to be perfect numbers. We've also done it with the discriminant, which we did last week, and that tells us how many times it crosses the x-axis. We figured out it could cross twice, once, or none. So now we're putting it all together. And if you look at the formula, wrong one to put it in our formula here, we actually have used this one last week, the b squared minus 4ac. There is the discriminant. So we have used this formula already, but we're going to take it a step further. Okay. So very first thing is we want to make sure that it is in this form. So ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We need to make sure that it is this way. We also don't want a to be 0 because if a is 0, it's not in a quadratic form, which means we can't do it. Remember, once you've put it in this form, we're going to go a equals whatever number it is, b equals what number it is, c is. And then all we're doing is plugging it in to where it goes. Now, if you like having videos or songs to help you remember this formula, I would definitely search on YouTube quadratic formula songs. They have some hilarious ones on there. They really do have some good ones. If we were in the classroom, you would be getting a different one each day to help you remember it. All right. A couple things you want to have before we start the notes. Make sure you have a piece of paper so you can write notes on it, and make sure you have a calculator today. The phone calculator is not as easy to do, but you can do it. You just have to do it backwards. But hopefully you guys have a calculator around. All right. So here we go. So very first thing, we see number 1. It's already in the form we want. It equals 0, and we have it in order from x squared to nothing. So a is 1, b is negative 2, and c is negative 8. Now we're going to plug it into our formula. X equals the opposite of b. I know it says negative b up here. I just say opposite because I've had students who get confused. Oh, it's negative already. I don't have to put it in. If you just say opposite of what your b is, it makes a whole lot easier for you. So the opposite of b is positive, plus or minus square root. It is plus or minus because we are going to try and get 2 answers. Sometimes 1, sometimes none, but this is the way we do it. So when we get to the end, we'll be able to split it up to see our 2 answers, and I'll show you that. Then b, since b is negative, I'm going to put in parentheses, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. And you know me, I try to make it the easiest way possible. I'm not even picking up a calculator yet. So what we're going to do everything we know we can. 2 is not going to change. Plus and minus is not going to change. We're going to have a square root. I'm not doing that yet. Then it's over 2 times 1. I know that. It goes to 2. Now I am going to pick up the calculator, and I'm going to put this in the calculator. So mine is the one that we use in the classroom. It's the Texas Instrument one, the TI 30X, whatever it is. And I'm going to put it in exactly as I see it. Negative 2x squared, and put in parentheses if I have negatives. And I am going to get 36. Now, we're going to try and see if 36 can be reduced. If we were in the classroom, we'd spend about 2 days just simplifying square roots, but we're not in the classroom, so we have to work on it as we go. So 36. So we try to figure out what multiplies to give you 36. I can divide it by 2. So 2 and 18. I know some of you are saying, oh, it's 6 and 6. That's the same too. It doesn't matter where you start. You're going to try to break it down to the best way you can. There's not one way to start. Okay, so 36 is 2 times 18. 2 can't be reduced. It's 1 times 2. I'm not going to write that. 18 is 2 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. Now we're going to circle a pair, cross one off. Circle a pair, cross one off. 2 times 3 is 6. So I get this one to be 2 plus or minus 6 over 2. Or you could go into the calculator and put square root 36, and it's just going to give you the answer 6. That's only if it works out perfectly, you guys, okay? Only if it works out perfectly. Now we have our plus and minus here. So what that means is I'm going to go 2 plus 6 over 2 and 2 minus 6 over 2. So 2 plus 6 is 8 over 2 is 4. 2 minus 6 is negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So up here, x is equal to 4 and negative 2. So that means it crosses at the 4 on the x-axis at 4 and negative 2. All right, that's 1. If you notice, not that hard. We just put it in what we've been doing. Okay, example number 2. This would have been a foldable that we would have put in our spiral notebooks if we were in the classroom. So I'm using very similar techniques. So A is 3, B is 5, C is negative 4. And let's put it into the formula. Opposite of B, which is going to be negative 5, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4. It's always going to be 4 times your A times your C. All over 2 times A. Now, do the easy stuff first, okay? Do what you know before you pick up a calculator. We know there's going to be something in that square root. 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. Now, bring in the calculator. So 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 4. And that's going to give me 73. Okay, and if we went on, and if you did square root of 73, let me do that. I actually get the square root of 73 is 8.544, and then it keeps going on. Since it's a decimal, I'm going to leave it right there. And this is what you're going to do on Khan Academy. So on the Khan Academies, you're going to try and simplify that square root if you can. If not, you would leave it right there. Now on the on the Google assignment, you're going to want to get this as a decimal, okay? So to take it further, and you know me, I like to try to do it as easy as possible. I'm going to go, so this is one answer, okay? The other one, so on the Google assignment, you're going to go negative 5 plus or minus. Instead of that square root of 73, I'm just going to put 8.54. I'm only going to go to 2 decimal places, and then divide it by 6. Break it up, remember, negative 5 plus the 8.54 divided by 6, negative 5 minus 8.54 divided by 6. Definitely need calculators for this one, you guys. So x equals, okay, so I'm going to put in negative 5 plus 8.54. Remember to put equals before you divide it by 6, or otherwise it's going to do 8.54 divided by 6, and then add the negative 5 to it. So we're going to get 0.59. And then negative 5 minus 8.54. And then equal is it? Divide by 6. Negative 2.26. I am rounding. Okay. And there you're going to get your second answer. So depending on which assignment you're going to do, which assignment you're going to do first, the top is what you're going to do for Khan Academy. If you can simplify that 73, do it just like I did on the side. If you're going to do the Google assignment first, second one. All right. And if you noticed, we had 2 answers. Now these 2, they're going to either be 1 answer, 2 answers, or no answers. So we're going to go from there. Same thing, find your A, B, and C. And plug it into the formula. So the opposite of B, plus or minus the square root. And whenever I do this formula, I always think of the song on YouTube. It goes to Pop Goes the Weasel. Search it on YouTube. It's really funny. Okay, so B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Simplify what you know. Do the easy part first. Now, use your calculator. So 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. And we're going to get 0. So it does happen. Square root of 0, if you put it in the calculator, is actually 0. So we can cross this off. And all we get is negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. So x is only going to touch the x-axis. Our graph is only going to touch the x-axis at one place and then bounce up. So if you remember when we graphed it, negative 3, it's going to touch at negative 3 and then bounce up. So one answer. So it could be the one solution. Remember when we did discriminant and we could do 2 answers, 1 answer, or 0 answers? This is what you get. All right, next one. Same exact thing. Find your A, B, and C. And please make sure you do keep the signs with it, especially if it's a negative. Plug it in. Opposite of B. So minus squared minus B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Do what you know, the simple things first, and then bring in the calculator. Minus 4 times 2 times 5, and we get this one to be a negative. Now, if you put negative 30, square root of negative 31 in the calculator, it's actually going to say, what was that? It's going to say error, domain error. That just means we cannot find it. If we were in the classroom, we would find this in the next couple weeks. This would actually be an imaginary number. So if you guys have ever seen that, we use that if we have a negative inside the square root, and that just means square root of negative 1. We're not doing this time. Right now, if we get a negative inside the square root, we're just going to say no solution. If I can spell it, yeah, you guys all know that with me. No solution. And what it means is that if we graphed it, it would not be touching the x-axis at all. It doesn't touch it. That's all it means. All right. So what we're going to do now is I want to go over at least some of the Khan Academy that I did. I copied the questions that were on mine, and I wanted to show you how to do some of these. Remember, Khan Academy, you're only going to have 4 questions. You want to make sure you get at least a 75%. So that means you want to get 3 out of the 4 right. Okay, I'm going to write in the corner the formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, that's our formula we are using. Get this so it changes it. It doesn't like me today. Okay, let's try Warrior Purple. Okay, very first thing you can see with this equation, it's not in the order we want it to be. We want to move the 16 to the other side because we want it to equal 0. But we also want the x squared to be in front. So I'm going to write that first. Then I want the x, and it is a positive, so I'm going to keep that. And then what we have left, so 16 minus 6 is going to be 10 equals 0. Now it's in the form we want. They like to mix it up. So we're going to go a equals negative 9, b equals 3, and c equals 10. A, b, and c. Now plug it into the equation. Opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times your a. Do what you know before getting a calculator. And 2 times negative 9 is negative 18. And if you just look at your answers right now, it's not going to be any one of those. So we are going to need to do another step after this. All right, so we're going to take out the calculator now. We're going to go 3 squared minus 4 times negative 9 times 10. We're going to get 369. And if you notice, none of these have 369 in it, okay? So this is where the simplifying square roots is. So we're going to take 369, bring it over here. I see all of these numbers here are all, you can divide them all by 3. So I'm going to do that. 369 divided by 3. It gives me 123. And I know that these numbers can also be divided by 3. So I'm going to do that again. And here we get it. Now with square roots, we circle a pair, cross one off. That's always how it is. But if you notice, we don't have a pair for 41. That's actually going to stay inside the square root. And the big hint right now is that last number that we did not have a pair for is going to be inside the square root. And that's as far as you really need to go. But if you wanted to do it further, we could go here. And how they're getting it to be -1 and -6 is that they're dividing these 3's, so this 3 and this 3, by -18. That's how they did it. They just divided it. The top number has to be divided by the bottom number by the same number. So they're both 3's, they're dividing it by 3. And so I would fill in this one. But all you're really looking for right now is the square root of 41. It's whatever number you can't do it. All right, going to the next one. Again, this one is not in the form we want, so I am going to move it to the other side. Okay, and we're going to get 6 minus 11. We're going to get -5x squared plus 7x plus 9 equals 0. Find your a, b, and c. And now plug it into the formula we've been using, okay? So x equals your opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Do what you know before you bring out the calculator. And we can do 7 squared minus 4 times -5 times 9. We're going to get 229. And if you notice, our answer is there this time. It's because if we could not find two numbers that multiply to give you 229, that will reduce. So we can't go any further. And that's your answer. All right, that's similar to what you guys are going to be doing on Khan Academy. Okay, these are actually ones that I did in the class. I mean, I did on the Khan Academy. I actually made more problems. So I have all my, well, 3 out of my 4 I actually put on here. But let's try these. So these are very similar to what you guys are going to be doing on the Google assignment. So you are going to try and figure this out if it was a decimal. Let's do maybe 1 or 2 to see how it goes. So I'm going to start with the second one. So we want to move it to be plus 10. So we're going to go 2m squared minus 7m minus 3 equals 0. Find your A, B, and C. I even had students go over here and do A, B, and C if you want, whatever works for you. And then plug it in. And if you noticed, I put it on the top. So opposite of B, plus or minus. So B squared minus 4 times your A times your C, all over 2 times A. Do what you can. That's the easy part. Now bring in the calculator. Negative 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 3. I'm going to get 73. Now, on your Google assignment, you're going to have to find the answers as decimals. So what I would do is go ahead, take the square root of 73. Usually the square root button is near your x squared because they're opposites. Do that, and you guys know I like to save as much space as possible. So I'm just going to cross that out and put 8.54. Just doing it to 2 decimals. And then I'm going to break it down into my 2 equations. So 7 plus 8.54 over 4, and 7 minus 8.54 over 4. Put it into the calculator, and remember, you have to put an equals after you do the top, then divide it by 2. So 3.885, but I'm going to round it because it's bigger than 5, or it's 5 or bigger. Do the same thing with the next one, and then divide it, and I'm going to get negative 0.39 because it has a 5 after the 8. Reduce it. So this is how you're going to do it on your Google assignment. We'll try one more, and then hopefully you guys will feel ready to do your 2 assignments. Okay, you can always come back to these. Remember, these are also on YouTube, wherever you want. All right, let's try. We can either do a little bit shorter problem or the nastier problem. I know in the classroom you would have wanted me to do the nastier problem so you guys didn't have to do it. But I'm going to do this one because on the Google assignment you don't have anything that nasty. All you have to do is really move it, the x's or the k's here, to the other side. So if you had to do it, you're just going to move it one at a time, just like we did last week. And this one actually turns out to be really easy. And actually, you know what? I am going to do that one. Whoops. Sorry, you guys. You know, that happens. Okay, I'm actually going to do this one. Sorry, you guys, I'm changing my mind. But you guys know I do that every so often. So, going to simplify it. I moved all those over so I can cross them off. 1 plus 3 gives me 4k squared. I'm going to do the k's next. Negative 2 plus 2 actually crosses off, so I don't have it. And then I have negative 31 plus 6. Can get negative 25 equals 0. Now, this one looks like one of our problems we did last week when we had to factor, or 2 weeks ago. And when it's missing that middle term, I actually like to go in and put a 0 in it because this is going to help us. Because if you don't put in a 0, a lot of you are going to say that A is 4, B is negative 25, C is 0. That's not right, because remember, the negative 25 is your C. So here, A is 4, B is 0, and C is negative 25. Okay, plug it in. Opposite of B, which is 0 cannot be negative or positive, so we just put it there. B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Do what we know. We can just put plus or minus some big number and then 8. Then bring out your calculator. 0 squared minus 4 times 4 is negative 25. And I'm going to get 400. And since we want to find these as decimals, I'm just going to go square root of 400. And that is going to give me, and I like doing different colors, makes it easier to see. That is going to give me 20. So all I get is plus or minus 20 over 8. And then I'm just going to reduce it. And it has to be plus or minus because it's touching on the plus, positive, and negative. Just do 20 divided by 8, and I'm fine with decimals. 2.5. And that's a good one to do. Now, go back through these, take notes, and then work on the assignments. Remember, if you guys need help, send me a thing on chat, Hangout, Google Hangouts, or email me. I'll be able to go over all of this with you if you need more one-on-one. Okay, good luck on this, and I'll see how you're doing.